Welcome back. You're still watching E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. Today on the show, we're exploring something that sits at the heart of who we are as a people, the way we express ourselves through what we eat and what we wear. Across the Southeast, food and fashion are not just lifestyle choices, they are languages, heritage, and powerful storytellers of our identity. Joining us to unpack this rich intersection of cultural and creativity is someone who has spent years curating experiences that bring this expression to life. She's a cultural strategist, a visionary leader in the creative economy, and director of the Southeast Food and Fashion Festival, Jasmine Chinaza Onya.
Thank you so
It's
very
great
much.
to have you with us today.
It's amazing to be here. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you blushing when I was
I was like, is that me? Are they talking about me? I love that. Thank you.
You know, I'm super proud of you. I mean, I'm super proud of the fact that you come up with so many good events. When you check out your designation, you tend to see, wow, it's a young lady doing things like this. I'm so proud of you. We're going to be talking about your journey.
Okay.
But let's talk about the Southeast. Now, when you think of the Southeast, what cultural element comes to your mind first?
There are quite a number of it. Okay, first, let me start that. The Eastern region as a whole is, it brings back memory of indigeneity, about heritage, our people, who we are, right? And we can't talk about culture without talking about our way of life, you know, and every aspect of it shows in how we as a people, how we relate to each other in terms of our food, music, lifestyle, fashion, and all that. Fashion not too so, because you don't see people typically wearing the average Eastern outfit that we used to know them. Yeah, so we can excuse that.
Yes.
But you know, I've come to that point where I see the Eastern region as, you know, home. As this comfort zone that brings back memories of the old, where we started as youngsters and, you know, growing up, and then where we want to be as, you know, the futuristic stories.
All right. Now, in your view, how do you see food and fashion uniquely capturing the identity of the Southeast?
One, let me start with the food. An average Easterner, you can only tell about us in our food. Let's start with the soup. I can count about 15 different types of soup that we have.
Is it up to 15?
It's more than 15. I mean, okay, let's take it by tongues, right? So if you come to Enugu, a section of Enugu state alone has more than 10. I went to Nkano land the other day and I discovered that they have their own type of soups that the general Igbo tribe, like every other person in other states, do not know about. There's Arara, there's so many of it, sorry, I cannot even go into mentioning it. So every people, when I mean people, I mean in terms of clan, they have their own soup that they are known with.
Yeah.
So except the typical egusi or and all those things we know.
I
Every
heard
clan
egusi
have.
is not as soup.
I saw that conversation on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I really do not want to step into that
Because
because
it's the very many people that has egusi soup.
just
that's
like every
not
other
as-
thing, I believe that it's just nature brings out these things, and every other tribe or people tend to discover it their own way, you know. So the way you make your meal might not be the way the next people make it, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's who defines it and how they define it that matters. So whoever that owns it, we are eating it.
Abi?
So yes, back to your question.
Yeah.
So food is something that a typical Easterner relates with, and that's why I'm always thinking the economic side of it, that if you decide to open a restaurant now, you will do so well in it, irrespective of the fact that there's already an existing thousands and numbers of it restaurants currently, right? So it means that we relate to food. Is something relatable. I'm not going to mention any particular place, but if you take an average Igbo person to another location and they start up a food business, they will strive, because we've come to understand. I don't know if it comes from who we are or because we have a special gift from God, whatever, but we have a way of making our own way out of things, especially when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, in terms of fashion, our people are still very expressive when it comes to it. I see a defined number of fashion designers that are doing amazingly well in Southeast. What I love most about their creativity is how they are still infusing some of the materials we are known with. So you see some doing the typical Isiago thing, which I basically feel like that should not be what groups us as an Eastern. You know, when they say Igbo attire, everybody is wearing Isiago. I beg to differ. That is that is not us in any way. So
Yeah.
we shouldn't define ourselves by Isiago. But then again, we see how people are now expressing themselves, and they're being creative with how they bring out originality with what is already known. Abia State, you go to Abia State, they have their own defined areas of how they, express fashion. And then you look at it, we have, in food and fashion, we have this thing we call carnival train. So in our carnival train, we try as much as possible to represent every eastern state politically defined, not by, by region. So we try to define it. So what would a typical Ebonyi person wear? What
Yeah.
would a typical Niger Delta Igbo person wear? What would a typical Abia State person wear, right? So we try to present that in our carnival to show that we are still, in as much as we are one as Ndibo, but we still have what keeps us and makes us individuals as clans or as indigenous people or as whatever. So we present that and tell our story as much as we can.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about your journey. What actually made you to come up with Southeast Food and Fashion Festival? Is it because of the love for food, fashion, or the Southeast in general?
Interesting. Whenever I come across this question, I don't know if I'm always expected to share something quite deep and motivating and quite, but
Maybe.
it was never like that.
Okay.
So I recall it was 2017. I was at the office with a couple of my staff then, and they kept saying I could eavesdrop what they were sharing from my office, and I heard them mentioning, this state is dry, there's nothing happening, there's nowhere we could go. And I just thought, I was like, that is true, basically, because as of then, I think what we had then was Fino Fest, which I was part of, the organizers. So there was nothing essential to look forward to. Back then, I think roadblock wasn't as, frequent as it would be. So we were all always waiting for December time to have that. So when they kept having that conversation, I was just eavesdropping. I wanted to know, okay. So afterwards, I stepped out and I said, you know what? We're going to have an event. They were like, yeah, what kind of event? So they thought it was going to be like a staff, office meeting. I said, no, we're going to exploit. Let's just invite people. Let's do something. But we are going to wait till the end of, maybe in October, November, so we can have something, talk to our clients to see who can come on board. And then they were like, what is it going to be like? I just said, we don't know. Let's look forward to it and see. This is 2017, right? That year it didn't happen because a lot of things. But 2018, I now said, you know what? I love food. Back then I was a foodie. I don't know so much about now. I was a foodie, and I looked around and I noticed that my environment as of then, everyone was big on food. There was no restaurant that was not doing perfectly well. Typically people would have more than 3 square meal. There is always something going on. People are always putting something in their mouth. All the hangout spots were like booming. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting. But then there was something also that wasn't too much of a functionality. It wasn't really booming. That was fashion. When I mean by that, my stylist was always complaining that people were not paying them their worth. So I felt like we had something that was booming, giving the creatives and the industry people there a lot of their interest, and then we had something that wasn't so much like booming. So we have the creative industry in the fashion industry complaining about not being patronized. I said, okay, why not merge it? Why not have an instance where these two can marry each other and come? So that was the initial conversation we had, and then we did it the first one at the base landmark in Nugu. To my surprise, it was meant to be just few friends, come together. Then I knew quite a number of people, so I felt okay, few friends could come together and do. But when we sent the first flyer, it started trending. It was, everyone was just sharing it on this thing, and then the first edition became amazing. Let me fast track it. So the second edition, we now noticed that the capacity of the venue we were using were just too much. We were just too small. We couldn't contain it. That was when we now expanded. We expanded in the ideology. We expanded in the narrative. We now felt like beyond that, we now want it to be a lifestyle. We want it to be a community-focused event where everyone can key in. Target audience became more larger. We now said it's a family fun event. You can come with your family, with your kids. Socialites can come around, influencers, industry elders, politicians. Let it be that one-stop place where anyone can want to come out and just have a nice plate of our local dishes while exploring other tribes meal. Yes, so this edition we had amala, right? Because we felt like you can also not coexist without also being able to explore. Exploring is what gives you the understanding where you can perfectly understand what meal or food is. So we welcome the other cuisines and say, you know what, we can have amala, we can have other things, just for why we are definitely exploring and understanding our own things. So it's been really amazing. We didn't start with any deep depth understanding. It just started with just advocating for what we wanted to have fun, but now it's become so much more than it. This is our 7th edition, and we love the fact that we've come such a long way, and God has been faithful.
Yeah, so you've said a whole lot about the whole journey. So I want you to point out some of the challenges you encountered. We noticed that last year was kind of emotional from the beginning when they changed the allocated sites for the event to
Less than 12 hours.
Yeah, less than 12 hours. You were all crying. I trended on social media. So tell us how that particular scene made you feel and other challenges that you've actually gone through coming out with this.
I'll be very honest. I felt like that particular incident, for one, undermined all the work we've put in over the years. You know, when you've done something, consistency is not, it's not easy to come by, right? So when you've done something for so long, you get to a point where you feel like at least there's been recognition. There should be a bit of respect to the brand. So if some sort of thing should happen, there should be a bit of come to the round table, let's discuss and note. But we are uprooted without a bit of notification and all. So that really went where we didn't want it to go. But challenges, of course, financing. You know, this is a festival. I keep telling people it's not a fair, it's not like a normal event, it's a festival, it's a weekend-long festival. We are dealing with a workforce of over 500. We have students, we have the carnival team, we have the runway team, we have the food guys, we have the main onboarding team, the students work, like everyone is coming together to make it work. So when you have such a great number of things and when you want to bring your creativity to life, it takes money. Right, it takes a lot to bring it up. So we have that challenge because, to be very honest, not a lot of brands support events in the East. We've not gotten to that level with Lagos scene where there's a lot in terms of push and support. So it is taking us a while, but there's still some that are keep, you know, the support coming. Aside that, there's also about people understanding what you want to do. I think we are yet to get to that point where our objectives have been known and welcome, because it's not the typical local content. When I say local content, it's not something someone can easily. People are still thinking we are elites in our behaviors, right? So we are still trying to defend it. One, it's not a fair, it's a festival. Secondly, it's not a rave. You know, it's not the typical party thing. It's a proper industry movement. So we are trying to establish a narrative here. So it's taking its turns, but it's really, as the year goes by, we are seeing the changes, the adaptation. We are seeing how people are recognizing and adapting to it. So we are excited.
All right, we have just few minutes left. So maybe in 1 minute, right? Looking back, what was the earliest okay, I've asked the question. Sorry about that. Would you say that it has been the biggest turning point in your journey? Would you say that this 7th edition is the biggest turning point for your journey?
Definitely. For one, there are some things we've not been able to get right over the years that we got right this year, and I am so grateful for that. Turning point again, yes, I think for once, people are starting to understand what exactly we are trying to do. That in as much as we are celebrating the local dishes, our spirit, our whatever it is we offer, we are still trying to blend it so that it's something that we can also offer to the world out there. You know, the truth is that we own it, we understand it, but when you're trying to share it out for more people to understand and respect what you have, you need to find a way to balance it so that it's more understandable to the rest of the people out there. So that's why we are opening it up to, you know, a lot of other individuals to come on board and to accept what we are doing. So yes, this year has really been a redefining moment for all of us.
I'm sure the fact that it was sold out.
And the fact that it was sold out!
I know that made you so excited. I mean,
Upper Square is such a huge place.
Yes.
And it's such a, like people will say it's a virgin land because every other thing you have to like import it in. So for once, we conquered it. Yeah.
High five to that. High five to that.
Well, thank you, my darling.
All right, thank you so much, Nasmin, for coming.
Thank
Do I say
you.
Jasmine now?
Jasmine,
Whichever
Nasmin,
one.
I answer all.
All right. Thank you so much for coming. This
Thank you
conversation
for
was
having me.
interesting, actually.
appreciate
And we are
it.
proud of your journey.
Oh,
and we
thank
wish
you.
you well.
Thank you so much, Signature. You guys are doing amazingly
Oh,
well.
it's a pleasure. All right, the show has come to an end. Join us same time tomorrow for more interesting stories, top chatting dramas from the world of arts, fashion, music, and of course social media. Follow all our social media platforms, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and enjoy the rest of your day. I remain your baby girl, Queen It Wokota.